Excellent customer service is very important.
Customers want to feel that you respect them, that you are there for them.
Just making sure the customer is satisfied.
I like the fact that I can communicate personally, not just over the phone.
At the end of the day, they know that they have that one person they can actually call on.
You want to treat that person how you would want to be treated.
We work 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. I try to make every experience a wow experience for the customer.
Former PLP MP Philip Galanis claims he's received threats from Perry Christie supporters. The Christian Council president says when it comes to leadership, Bahamians will no longer tolerate nonsense. Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller says opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis should not be sold short. Plus, a 2-day workshop will focus on ending domestic violence. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Tonight, former Progressive Liberal Party MP Philip Galanis says he has filed a report with police after receiving threats of death made by staunch supporters of Prime Minister Perry Christie. Galanis has been a vocal supporter of Deputy Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis and a harsh critic of the Christie administration's performance over the past 3 years. As a result, he said he has been vilified and Christie supporters have posted very offensive comments online. Vani Toot reports.
Following his decision to publicly endorse Deputy Leader Philip Brave Davis as the next leader of the Progressive Liberal Party, former PLP MP Philip Galanis says a supporter of Prime Minister Perry Christie vowed to destroy anyone who opposes Christie and even declared Christie or death. Galanis says he has reported the threat to police.
There have been a number of persons who are ardent supporters of Mr. Christie who have made threats indicating essentially that they're going to destroy anybody who does not support the leader, and also indicating that it's either Christie or death. I want to make it clear that I don't think that Mr. Christie has anything to do with this. What I know from him, and I've known him for a very long time, he would look askance at such veiled threats, and I don't consider them veiled, but at such threats, because that's not his style of governance, that's not his style of leadership.
Galanis said while he is certain Christie would never condone such threats, the PLP leader should tell his supporters that this is not the type of politics they should engage in. He said the commissioner has assigned a police officer to investigate the matter. Galanis also revealed that he came under fire after he became a vocal supporter of Brave Davis and predicted that on the Christie administration's current trajectory, the PLP would lose the next general election.
The other thing that I found extremely offensive is that a number of persons, not only myself, but a number of persons who have indicated that they may support someone else have been vilified and pilloried on the website, on the internet. And to that end, what I've done is I've communicated with and made a complaint to IRCA as well as to the Data Protection Commissioner, filing a complaint against those persons as well. And we think we know who they are, and we provided the names of those persons who are doing so to the authorities.
Prime Minister Christie recently announced that he intends to run again for PLP leader and said he hopes Davis and other cabinet ministers with leadership aspirations recognize that challenging him would not be the most appropriate course of action at this stage in the country. However, Galanis said anyone should feel free to run for a leadership position.
And I take my hat off to a person like Mr. Reynard Rigby, who is not even in the House of Assembly, but said he might throw his hat in the ring. And so, in our democracy, we need to grow up, we need to become more mature. And so I felt it's sufficiently important to report the matter to the police. They have responded. They're conducting an investigation. I'm hoping that in the fullness of time that matter will be adequately resolved.
Though he has publicly criticized the Christie administration in recent months, Galanis made it clear he is still very much a supporter of the PLP and is simply offering constructive criticism.
I'm not deterred by this. The most important thing is for people to understand that I am a PLP, a strong supporter of the PLP. I still believe in the core values of the PLP, and I still believe that the values of the PLP are the best to govern this country. That I disagree with some of the things that are done by persons who do so in the name of the PLP is one thing. And it is simply a matter for me to be constructively critical of those persons who do such things.
Galanis said if the PLP is serious about winning and turning the country around, it must make some changes, adding that Bahamians are generally dissatisfied with the way the Christie administration is governing. In a previous interview, Galanis said if the PLP is to have a shot at winning the next election, it needs to take decisive action, including electing new leadership. Reporting for MB12, I'm Vonik Tood.
Galanis also suggested that several PLP cabinet ministers and members of parliament are miserable and lousy and should not be renominated as candidates for the next general election. He told NB12 today many of them are not carrying their weight and are not providing solutions to the challenges that are facing the country.
Well, if I were choosing, I would look very closely at the persons who are there, and I don't think that in the final analysis they will be there when all is said and done. Because I think that they are not necessarily the best ministers in the cabinet. I think that the country is better served without them being there.
Galanis declined to say specifically which MPs he was referring to. However, when asked about cabinet ministers Fred Mitchell, Jerome Fitzgerald, Kalis Roll, Michael Halkitis, O.B. Wiltcomb, Alison Maynard Gibson, and Leslie Miller, Galanis suggested that they would all make good candidates. However, when asked about Dr. Bernard Nottage, V. Alfred Gray, and Shane Gibson, Galanis offered no comment. Quite frankly, he said the PLP needs to find better candidates.
I think we need to look very, very seriously at who will be offering as standard bearers for the PLP in the next general elections. It's not a secret that in 2007 we ran a few candidates who were not true believers, true supporters of the PLP, and they turned on us, they left us.
If re-elected, accountability will be a must for Prime Minister Christie, according to Bahamas Christian Council President Ranford Patterson. He said the honeymoon for leaders in both government and the church is over, and Bahamians have gotten to the point where nonsense will no longer be tolerated. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Christian Council President Reverend Dr. Ranford Patterson says come 2017 or whenever the next general election is held, elected officials will be held at a new standard. He said voters are now at the point where foolishness will no longer be tolerated.
Honeymoon is over for leaders in this country. Either you're going to do what the people say or you'll be out.
With no answer or explanation for recent controversies involving cabinet ministers, Bahamas Christian Council President Reverend Ranford Patterson says Christie or whomever is elected to lead the country in 2017 will meet voters with a different mindset, a mindset unwelcoming to those who do not want to be held accountable for their actions. There's the question of who authorized Renwood Wells to sign the Stellarways letter of intent, Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival, which went over budget, and we still don't know who issued the contract for the male dorm at Bamsey without insurance. Patterson says the Bahamas has arrived at the point where people want answers. And don't forget,
Bahamians are not going to accept leaders just grabbing them by the hand and just taking them wherever they want to go. That's going to change. The last election was the last election for that. Going forward, the Bahamian people, I believe, will lead this country. And their leaders will be servants, not leaders, not persons who will control them, but Bahamians will be the leaders of this country going forward. I foresee that clearly.
Patterson didn't go deep into a potential leadership race within the PLP and Christie's chances of winning, saying he's not one to get into party politics. But he did say that with this chance, it's not just going to be the politicians, but religious leaders who will have to learn responsibility as well.
It's going to be a different ball game. The people that we're going to have to lead will be people who vote for us today, who say they support us today, and if we are not in line with what we say, these will be the very same people in a month or week will go and protest against us.
In the months leading up to his announcement, there were questions as to whether this would be Christie's last term in office. So much to the point where aspiring leaders like Tourism Minister O.B. Wiltcomb and Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis had indicated that they'd seek to succeed Christie as leader if he stepped down. Patterson said in the Bahamas, not just in politics, Bahamians have done a bad job at succession planning.
For many, we believe in most cases that we're going to, I guess, be around forever. And so we don't think about the next generation of persons who we need to prepare to take over and continue the legacy that we leave behind. And so there is a challenge when it comes to leadership and succession planning. And I think going forward, it's going to change.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller says underestimating opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis could be a mistake. Noting that a lot of people sell Dr. Minnis short, Miller said disgruntled Bahamian voters often vote against governing parties, which places the opposition in a unique position.
You know, a lot of people sell Mr. Minnis short. I think that's a mistake that they're making.
Since becoming Epidem leader in 2012, Minnis has been criticized by some as lacking in mass appeal and unable to excite supporters. There have also been calls from within his own party for a convention to be held ahead of the next general election. On Sunday, Prime Minister Perry Christie said Minnis has more of a chance of succeeding in his own party than succeeding against me, and noted he would find it difficult for Minnis to withstand what the PLP is going to present to the public. Well, Miller said Minnis should not be discounted because based on his decades of political experience, voters tend to vote against parties rather than for parties.
Bahamians, by and large, if they feel comfortable with you, if they feel that you have done what they would have wished in their own personal lives, the enhancement and advancement of their children and themselves, then they don't have a problem. If they feel different, they will send a message to you that is now payback time. You didn't do what I expected you to do on my behalf, and I'm paying by putting you to office.
Noting Minnis's leadership style has been criticized by some, Miller said though he may not be as confrontational as other politicians, Minnis does have his supporters.
See, people have a tendency to sell Mr. Minnis short because they like the rah, rah, rah. You know, Miss Butler Turner, she go there and try to, you know, always making noise in a positive way and in a constructive way. He is not that type of personality. Each of us have a different personality that God has given us. His style is a lesser confrontational style, but he gets the job done. He has the support of his party.
A man was shot and killed at an apartment complex in Grand Bahama last night, and police are now on the hunt for his killer. According to police reports, officers in Freeport received information of a shooting incident at a Hudson Avenue apartment complex around 9 p.m. At the scene, officers discovered a man lying on the ground suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say they are investigating the matter and are encouraging anyone with information on this latest incident to contact them anonymously at 919, 911 or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. The murder count now stands at 111 for the year. Stay with us. There's more news after the break.